Today's guest is David Melhado.
When, grab a $500 leather jacket and walk out the door, and
Well, that's what I was going to get at.
nobody's going to say anything.
Yeah.
Nobody can do anything because 9 times out of 10, they're stealing store blind. And these guys, I think, hit us like 100, 150 stores a year, so almost every night.
Today's guest is David Melhado, former National Director of Loss Prevention at Shoppers Drug Mart Canada. He scaled teams across the country, led multi-agency task forces.
They were ringing these, $300 boots for $10. And this guy started questioning the money we were spending in there. I said, well, I've Googled that store. It's not in such a bad area. Cutting the alarm wires, coming through the roof, and we almost had them. And then the happened, and the operations people were just out of their minds. I think there's still some unfinished business that I left there, and that's where we are today.
Today's guest on the Lion Guard podcast was David Melhado. I go back with him many years at Shoppers Drug Mart. You don't want to miss this one. We went back in time with Shoppers Drug Mart, some other places, Sears. This is one you don't want to miss. Dave, how's things going?
Great, keeping busy, enjoying the summer, but things are going great.
Happy birthday.
Oh, thanks.
You didn't think I'd know that?
Oh, thanks. Appreciate it.
All right. Let's see. You started off in Sears in Loss Prevention?
Yeah, I was a floor walker catching shoplifters. And actually, I kind of stumbled onto that role because I was working in the shipping and receiving department.
Oh,
I was
nice.
17, 18 years old. And part of the whole thing was the parcel pickup where the customers would come pick up their barbecues and stuff. But it was also the employee entrance.
Okay.
And they weren't allowed to keep any bags and stuff at their workstations. And everything had to be checked in. And I noticed a couple of odd things that these girls were checking in, pair of leather boots for $10. And so I had the security guys check it out, and sure enough, they were ringing these, $300 boots for $10.
Wow.
And they fired them, and the guy goes, "You got a pretty good eye for this stuff." So he says, "You want to come and work with me?" And I said, No, thanks. I had no interest, right? I was 18, and he said, "No, try it for a week, and if you don't like it, you can always go back to your other job." And that's how it started in loss prevention. Wow. I started working catching shoplifters.
Wow, good.
Yep.
And then you moved up there?
Yeah. So I was going to college at the time, and worked there part time, and they were looking for an assistant manager in the security department. Yeah. And they offered me the job, and I was young. I was in my 20s, and I said I accepted the job when I dropped out of school, and it was good money, and they were paying me well, and I had a team of about 15 people, but I was they were old enough to be my parents. They'd been at Sears a long time, so
that's right.
I felt awkward managing people that were a lot older than me, but it all worked out great. We did a good job. And and from there I got recruited over to Shoppers Drug Mart.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. Well, back to Sears.
Yep.
None of the young people today remember Sears.
Yeah. No, Sears was a dynamic company back in the day, and their catalog system was world renowned. And when you actually really look at it, they were the Amazon before.
That's right.
And they didn't figure it out, just like Consumers Distributing and all those companies They had Amazon footprint already. They just didn't know how to get it to the next level. Yeah.
And then I think you left in like February or something. And you started with Shoppers.
Yeah.
How did that?
So my previous boss at Shoppers was at Sears, was over at Shoppers, and he recruited me over there and gave me a bunch of stores to look after in Ontario. So So you were a resource protection manager at Sears. Yes, I
and
did.
Then what was your role at Shoppers?
Okay, at Shoppers, I was a loss prevention coordinator.
Okay.
And so I was responsible for about 120 stores in Ontario, and just basically, auditing the stores for compliance, a lot of training courses, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. A lot of investigations too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then you took over the director's role from Keith Morgan?
Yes.
That's what I knew Keith then.
Yeah. So what happened with that is, we had a change in senior leadership at loss prevention. I put in for it. They thought I was too young to be a director. So they said, but we do have an opening in Calgary that if you want to go there, cut your teeth, it would be a great experience. And I did. And that was 1994. And I went out there and I spent 5 years. And, Shoppers was not a big company out west at the time. We did a lot of acquisitions and traveled Western Canada all the way up to Yellowknife and Whitehorse and really saw every crack and crevice of the West and got involved in, the acquisition piece, which was interesting and learned a lot about that.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Now I can go back. Gary Hill.
Yes. Yeah.
Glenn Kaiser.
Yeah. All those guys. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know where they are now. But
I don't know either. You'd think you'd see them on Facebook or something.
somewhere.
Yeah,
I don't see
nothing.
I knew Gary Hill went to Toys R Us or something.
Yeah, Toys R Us, and
he
that's
just
the last.
disappeared.
Once he left Toys R Us,
And
I
he
never
still
heard from him.
still says it. It says to present.
Oh,
but-
you're kidding?
Yeah, but I've talked
that's
to
old.
Yeah.
The last I heard, he was up in Collingwood because I used to
Okay.
play a lot of golf with him up there.
Yeah.
His parents lived in Collingwood,
that's
so I think when he retired or semi-retired, he moved up to that Collingwood area.
And Ian Fitzgerald.
Ian, he's I think somewhere around Newmarket.
Oh, wow.
He owns a those permadeck companies,
yeah.
the franchise.
Yeah.
So he has the franchise, I think, for the Newmarket area.
And I think Glenn Kaiser
Yeah.
lives up somewhere.
Yeah, and Glenn.
And I know he was married to one of the associates.
Yeah, and then he went into teaching.
Oh,
He
wow.
left Shoppers.
Well, I think he
and-
was at Staples.
Yeah, I think yes, he did.
A store
leave
manager or
Shoppers.
something.
Yeah,
'cause
and
I
then-
ran into him at
yeah.
a state. Yeah.
Yeah, and then now he's a school teacher.
Wow.
That was the last I heard. What his whereabouts. So
Wow.
yeah,
And Michelle Bannerman, I still
Michelle's
speak to.
still there.
I
Yeah,
still speak to her. Yeah.
yeah. A lot of the staff that I hired back
Back
at Shoppers
then,
are
yeah.
still there. Yep.
But yeah, I go back with Keith. What happened? I was with a company, Calais Investigations.
Oh, I remember Calais. Yeah.
That's where I started.
Yep.
And that had to be 35, almost 40 years. And Keith brought us in to talk to us about the checkpoint systems they were
Yes.
putting in the stores at the time.
Yep.
And what to do. They had a representative from Checkpoint. They had, so we went in, we were told what not to do, what to do. And
Yeah.
if it goes off, and yeah, so that was the first thing with it. And then I had a lot of Gary Hill stores in Glens.
Yep.
And I ended up getting a lot of stores in Toronto from them. And my guys were doing good. And Keith hired me to bring in some LPs to do an area in Toronto where there was a booster hitting.
Yeah. Targeted.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He was hitting these certain stores and he was a known guy. He had HIV, he carried needles. And he would just come in and he had a long coat on with the slits in it.
Yeah.
He'd take the whole trays of Claritin, Tylenol, and the perfume, whichever, gift sets, whatever.
Yep.
And he just walked those. So one day they told me they wanted me. I knew him from being around. I used to see him.
Yeah.
So they told me to watch him and follow, let him take the stuff and follow him. And I told them one day I saw him coming out of a bargain store in Parkdale.
Yeah.
So I was in a store in Parkdale. He came in,
Yep.
filled up.
Yeah.
Went straight to that bargain store. So I watched from the window outside and I watched the guy giving him the money.
Yeah.
The funny thing, he came out, I arrested him, big fight.
Yeah.
Back then it was no.
Yeah.
Cops.
I don't know how the guys do and the girls do the job.
We're gonna
today,
get into that, yeah.
Yeah. I really don't.
The police arrested him and they told me there was some undercovers and detectives coming to check the store out. So they went in, ended up closing the guy down.
Yeah.
There was merchandise in there. Back in the day, Shoppers had the price tags.
Yes.
He still had the price tags, all this stuff.
Oh yeah.
So that was my thing with getting the okay. And then he gave me a record of recommendation and a gift card. And so I liked Keith.
Yeah.
And, so anything else? Anything about Keith you would on?
No, he was.
Did you work with him, or did you? It was just
No. So I replaced him in Calgary. He came the national director, and I was the director of Western Canada.
Oh, okay.
And then I did my 5 years out there, and Keith was getting ready to retire. So they called me and said, we're thinking of bringing you back in November, 5 years later. And I said, yeah, I'll definitely come back. And so then I became the national director back then in 98 or 99. Yeah.
Nice. So I guess did you mentor these guys, your LP guys, like the Glenn Kaisers and all them?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm pretty proud of my record. Daryl Blackmore.
That's
I hired Daryl, Jeff Yates, who you work with. So pretty proud that I mentored those guys and girls, and a lot of them are still in the LP world and now they're directors or, VPs or, so they've done well. And I'm pretty proud of that. Yeah.
Now, when you were there, was the Koffler family still owned it?
Yeah. So when I joined, it was a family run company. Koffler had just sold to Amasco.
Yeah.
And, how he started and, just the whole franchise setup and all that. And it was quite a unique franchise setup because the business model is you just had to be a pharmacist.
Yes,
in order to be considered associate or a franchisee within the thing. And so, they owned 49%, we owned 51%. We could pull the franchise if we wanted to, but we rarely ever did that unless you absolutely messed up. Right?
Yeah. I know there was one store. I won't mention the store or the name.
Yeah.
But one of the pharmacists got walked out.
It
was I can't remember who it was called me in. They said, "Can you guys come in and just make sure everything's under?"
Yep.
So I went in and they walked him out. From what I think it was something to do with
I would
perks
say
or something.
Hundreds. We
bet,
walked out over the years,
Yeah,
right? Selling drugs out the back door.
Exactly.
Like here's supposed to be a professional person, and they're selling drugs to the street.
Yeah.
And it's like, come on, guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
any other internals that you would?
Yeah, and the
comes to
Shoppers,
mind?
the Shoppers days, there was a lot. We worked with everything because we dealt with, narcotics within the pharmacy, so the storage and the transportation of that, had to deal with Health Canada and their requirements and all the stipulations around that.
Managers.
And then out of at the 1,500 stores at the time, 1,300 of them had post offices in them. So
That's right.
So Canada Post, we had to deal with them and the federal regulations.
Exactly.
But they were our employees. But we had the Canada Post franchise within the Shoppers, and so we had to set some ground rules there where Canada Post was coming in, interviewing our employees and stuff like that. I was no, you don't do that.
Yeah,
you have to work with my people to interview any of our employees. If one of your interviews goes south and they sue, who do you think they're going to sue? Right?
That's right.
Yeah. But we had a good working relationship with Canada Post and their security department. Rita Eastwick, she's still there.
Okay.
There's a bunch of people who've come out of Canada Post that are still I'm in touch with all the time.
Nice. Were you at a lot of the stores? Like, did you have a lot to say when the stores opened? Or
No. I prided myself in not sitting in the office and managing stores from the office.
Yeah.
I thought it was very, very important, especially in a franchise setup, that they're paying us franchise fees. So I used to say to my people, I don't want to see you in the office. Only for meetings, right? That are required. And other than that, you got to be out in the stores and you got to help these people. And it was a successful formula. And
nice.
And I could talk intelligently to the pharmacists and the associates because I'd been there.
Exactly.
In Yellowknife or Whitehorse. If they called, they said, "Oh, you don't know what you're talking about." Yes, I do. I've actually been there, right? So
that's good.
It was good, and I prided myself in that because we had a guy in our office. Well, I won't name his name, but he was in the operations thing, and I was put a proposal in to do some security for the store. It was one of our downtown Edmonton stores we had acquired. And it was called the Midnighter, and it was just a known drug thing, and they were shooting up in the parking lot and the whole bit. And anyway, we put a bright, brand new store, put the lights on it, lots of guards, all that stuff, and this guy started questioning the money we were spending in there. I said, "Look, and he says, "Well, I've Googled that store. It's not in such a bad area." I said, "You might want to get out from behind your desk. And go to Edmonton." Go and see where the pain points are, and then you can talk about it intelligently. And I found that very, very important. Now, the bad news is I was on the plane almost daily.
Yeah, exactly.
So thank God I was single at the time because there's just no way you could have had a family with the amount of flying and traveling I was doing. I was close to 200 flights a year with Air Canada, and because again, we were growing so fast and acquiring all these companies, and we acquired a group of stores in Saskatchewan, and I remember flying into Regina, picking up the rental car, And I had a team of people with me, and we had to go to these 40 stores, and we had to drive the entire province and basically do an assessment, which one of these stores are we going to rationalize and which ones are we going to keep. So out of the 40, I think we ended up keeping about 25 at the time. And because we just didn't want it cannibalizing any of the other Shoppers stores that were nearby or anything like that.
Yeah.
So we drove the entire province for 3 or 4 days and brought the rental car back, and they're used to seeing 100 clicks on the vehicle. I brought it back with 1,800 clicks. The guy goes, "Where have you been?" Like I said, "Yeah, I've been to Nipawin, Tisdale, Swift Current, you name it. I've been there. Yorkton, Saskatchewan." So again, it was a great learning experience for me, and I got to see every crack and crevice of this country that way. And so again, I could understand people's pain points because every province is different, and they all have different issues, and so. You have to get out there, and you got to do store visits, and you got to be out there helping them.
I agree.
Yep.
Yeah. And then you retired from there?
No. In October of 2012, they did a restructuring at Shoppers, and they got rid of 140 senior management people. I was there 25 years. But most of the people that they were getting rid of were EVPs and up. And, so I was kind of low man on the totem pole, but still at 25 years. And, but we knew something was up. We just didn't know what. And then 6 months later, the Loblaws deal went through.
Wow.
So I guess Loblaws didn't want any legacy employees.
And then you started Final Image Inc.
Yeah, so
or did you take some time off?
Oh yeah, I did. I did take almost a whole year off.
Travel.
My daughter was 5 at the time, and so we traveled and we had great, daddy and daughter time, and so to this day we're still pretty tight.
Good.
And I never give that time back, and Shoppers paid me for a couple of years to stay away, so I was fine with that. So
I actually had an interview with Ian Fitzgerald for a job at Shoppers.
Oh, you're kidding?
And he called me up and he said, "You got the job?" And I said, "You know what?
Yeah,
I have a daughter right now.
Yeah,
and I go,
can't do it.
I can't do this.
Yeah,
because
I
knew, and
because you would have been on the road.
And that's what he told me. So
yeah.
So like I was saying, you started Final Image Inc.
Yeah.
What is that? A consulting or?
Yeah. So it was so Bill McQuaid owned a company called Vision Systems back in the day, and they used to do a lot of the CCTV work for Shoppers.
For Shoppers, I saw their logo on the.
So I remember gave him a start. It was 1989. He kept cold calling me and knocking on the door and Anyway, I gave him a chance. I said, "Okay, we got a store going over Mount Pleasant and Eglinton." Yeah, and I said it's a high profile store. Don't make me look bad. Right? Yeah. And so Bill. Who's a broadcast engineer, but he understood, cabling and all that stuff. Exactly. He put to this day, I tease him that, CBC could have broadcast from that Shopper store with the cabling he put in just for cameras. So he went overboard. He made me look good. And he had that company for a number of years, and then he sold it to Checkpoint.
Oh, okay.
Back in the day.
That's right. That's right.
And then he started Final Image. He was the founder of Final Image.
Okay.
Yeah. And he's still there to this day. So I worked with him the last 12 years or so at Final Image, but the last couple of years I've been doing stuff on my own.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Final Image is a little consulting firm. Yeah. There was 3 of us that worked there, and we brought in a 4th guy who did mergers and acquisitions.
Okay.
And Alan was more of a technology kind of guy, and then Bill was the leader, and we did everything. We did leasehold builds, all that stuff, like new builds. Wow. So we did a lot of consulting for like warehouses, putting in the security from ground up. It was high risk security. So one of them I can't name them because I think I'm still under an NDA, but but they take all the new Apple products in their warehouse. Okay. And so they needed, facial recognition, license plate. They needed the full works, and so we were the consulting firm on that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and then we did some recruiting also in the industry, which was It was good and bad. You know, it was tough. People don't want to pay recruiting fees, so that's why we've kind of diminished that part of the business. But you know, you know, we had so many contacts of people out there. So somebody needs, you know, a director of sales or a VP of sales or something. We knew who to call, you know, for selling like security equipment and services, right? And so we did that for probably a good 5 years, and then we just started to wind that part of the business down and focus more on the mergers and acquisitions.
I know the CEO of Lion Guard, Zafir Chaudhry, he spoke to you one time about purchasing Nexus.
Nexus. Well, yeah, I'm trying to remember now.
He didn't end up purchasing. I don't know what happened, but he said he remembers talking to you about it.
Yeah, I remember, but I just can't remember the details. What happened with Nexus? Because of
or not Nexus. Sorry, Neptune.
Neptune. Oh yes.
I got it.
Yes, Neptune. That's another story. I can't talk about. But yeah. They were not behaving well.
That's what I heard. Yeah,
that's all I can say.
Can you describe a time you had to deal with a stressful situation, maybe with, let's say, I don't know, loss prevention, but customer service at the same time?
Yeah,
a lot of people don't understand. It is customer service.
Yeah. I know you certainly try to do the customer service approach when you're either apprehending a shoplifter or you're dealing with an employee for, you know, fraud or embezzlement.
Some investigators made bad stops in the stores.
Absolutely. And
I know the company should take care of it, but something that goes before that goes right to shoppers because it's always the big client's name that
we get blamed for it. So I dealt a lot with our public relations lady. And, you know, what to say, what to do. And so there was a lot of very good coaching and support that way. That's one thing Shoppers did provide. Excellent. You know, coverage for that.
Because a lot of times, some of these they were going to steal the item, but they ended up dumping it, and the LP didn't see it, and he goes out, stops them, and then they make them pay. They want thousands, and How would you have handled it where an employee is suspected of theft?
Yeah, so we had a lot of that, and I had a whole team of investigators, and you know, some of them were ex-law enforcement, some of them weren't. But you know, as a team, they were pretty intense, and a lot of great results.
Store,
yeah, they did audits. Yeah. So what happens is we have certain matrix in each store, and stuff gets red flagged, right? You get it's almost like exception reporting and stuff like that. It tells you, okay, this is above the norm. Let's go in and have a look. So you put cameras in, or you put an undercover investigator in there, or something. And 9 times out of 10, they're stealing the store blind, and you get it on tape, and you know, you get the confessions.
The VCR tapes back then.
Oh yeah.
I remember associates telling me, when you go in the morning, put my tape in. So you mentioned the audits. How do you stay updated on the latest LP stuff going on, that technology?
So that's very important. You got to go to the conferences, especially the ones, you know, that you're dealing with. So your main pain points, right? And you target those, you know, those subject matter experts. If they're speaking at the conference or, you know, conducting a seminar or something, you got to go and, you know, educate yourself on that. So certainly continual education. But the conferences are really important. You know, people, you know, have the, you know, the notion that you just go there and it's, you know, a bunch of, you know, drinks and giggles and you don't learn anything. Well, no. You know, when you go to, you know, ISC West and NRF, you know, National Retail Federation, you know, Retail Council, those are all professional organizations, and they provide, you know, top-notch speakers and subject matter experts. And, you know, I've sat on their panels, I've sat on some of their boards. And it's you know, it's so important to stay up to date on it. You know, but the last 15 years, I've kind of been doing the mergers and acquisitions stuff, so I'm a bit removed from it now. But I still talk to a lot of people in the industry.
Did you attend a lot of the RCC shows?
I used to never miss them. I was a part of the planning committee.
I used to see that
with Rui and Stephen O'Keefe, and Yeah, we went back 30, 35 years ago. We were all part of that. Yeah.
But they used to be huge back then.
Yeah, yeah.
And they were downtown.
Yeah,
at the
and it was 2
internationals.
days. It was 2 days,
2 or 3
sometimes
days.
2.5 days.
Yeah, I remember that. That's right. The last day it kind of ended early.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I think it was like a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday
I
or something.
think now it's down to 1 day.
1 day.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not as big as back in
And
the day.
I don't go anymore because it doesn't do anything for my business other than me saying hello to some people that I once knew. Yeah, that would be the only advantage to going for me right now. I try to go to ISC West, and GSX is at the end of the month. That's in New Orleans. That's put on by the As Is group, and so those are all top-notch conferences also.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
And you were involved, I guess, with Shoppers. I know you guys went to just having one security company taking over the whole contract.
Yeah. So after Amasco sold the company, but they sold it to KKR back in the day, and then once KKR left, it went public.
Okay.
And so now we became a publicly traded company, and so the rules changed, and so all of a sudden I wasn't dealing with any procurement to do, and none of the coordinators were dealing with any kind of, hey, you get to use the services there. No, the procurement's job was to consolidate all the the suppliers and get the best price. That was their mandate, and so that became an approved list to enable to do work at a Shoppers Drug Mart. You had to be on that list, qualify, and there were certain criteria that you had to attain before you could even get in those stores.
Now, do you think it was because of prices of different companies, like
absolutely,
company?
Absolutely. Yeah. So, for one example, alarms. So, back in the day, again, eye opener. You didn't realize, you got 1,300, 1,500 stores. You're paying anywhere from $19 a month to $100 a month in monitoring for the same services.
That's right.
Well, no. So we brought that all in. Chubb won the contract. They gave us a standard price. It was, a lot lower than $100, but not as low as 19. But we tried to get as close to 19 as we could. But and I think I think they're still the number one supplier to this day.
Wow.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I lost a lot of stores because of that, Dave.
Yeah, no. Wasn't my decision.
But what's funny is I had a lot of the associates calling me back.
Oh no, and a lot of associates. I didn't want to do
it. I'd call whoever the coordinator was. I say, he goes, well, you really can't. And then the associate kept calling me. He goes, I'm getting rid of the company tomorrow. So and I went.
And that was that's the frustrating part with when you talk about dealing with the difference between franchisees and corporate, right?
And they used to tell me, I'm paying the bill.
Yeah.
I'm paying right in that check. So that was their reasoning too.
Yeah, and that's a viable argument. However, you didn't pay anything for the franchise. The corporation put up all the money for the the capital and the leasehold improvements and that type of stuff. So push comes to shove, yes, we could demand that they use it.
That's
We never operated that way.
But were they on their own if something happened?
Yes. Oh yeah. If they went outside of the guidelines, and they get sued. You can't sue Shoppers Drug Mart.
The store owner.
You sue Joe Smith Drugs as carrying on a business at Shoppers Drug Mart. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I remember that they used to tell us.
That's what we told them. We said, guys, we're not here to penalize you. We're here trying to get you the best price, and stop people getting ripped off and that type of thing. And some didn't see it that way. And that's one of the difficulties in a franchise situation is you gotta sell the product and you got to sell the service properly so they clearly understand it. And then there's more buy-in because they all talk amongst themselves.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
So if you get 3 or 4 of them on your side, you can just stand back and the word will spread that this is a good program. Dave or Jeff saved me umpteen dollars by doing this. And, and that's how it worked.
Oh, that's good. I still have one guy that works with me, Martino Zagordo. He was a floor walker.
Yeah, I remember the name. Yeah, I remember the name.
He was with me. I hired him and trained him at Calais. Yeah. He's with me still here with Jeff.
Who else? Tom something at Calais. Tom,
I know you're talking.
Yeah. It's almost the same name as yours. It's like a Tom Doyle or something.
Yeah, it's close to them. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So he was there a long time, but I don't know what happened to all those guys.
No. And I have another guy that I've known him over the years, but he the last 10 years he's worked with me, but he was doing Shoppers stores.
Yeah.
Henry, he was part owner of Mantis Security.
Yes. Yeah.
And then he left Mantis. He started his own, and he couldn't get on the Shoppers list.
Okay.
And that's all he had.
Yeah.
So once that happened,
he was dead.
he was gone. Yeah. So
Unfortunate.
But
But again, you're just trying to set standards, raise the bar. Again, as a publicly traded company, and you're reporting to the street.
That's right.
Your I's have got to be dotted and your T's got to be crossed.
That's right.
And
he did keep a couple stores, but it just wasn't enough to keep his business going and all his employees.
It's hard, man. And they, they look at it as, it's Dave's decision, bad guy, or Shoppers Drug Mart. And it had nothing to do with me.
Yeah. You got to do it.
I was told this is the new program. Get on board. And so, either do or you don't. Yeah.
And remember the day, the Patrick Shand Inquest.
Yes.
You think that changed
the world?
Everything.
That changed it, yeah.
Yeah.
Because now, you've got everybody, Holt Renfrew. You can go and, grab a $500 leather jacket and walk out the door. And
that's what I was going to get at.
Nobody's going to say anything.
Yeah.
Nobody can do anything because of that whole Shand inquiry. It was an overreaction.
Yeah.
Like definitely some rules and regulations needed to be applied to the industry.
That's right.
But it was an overreaction, and they swung the pendulum way too far.
Yeah.
And that's where we are today. And it's a shame because
it is.
now crime is up, and you've had Rui speak here about a lot of the organized crime and all that stuff. Yeah, we would be all. Well, that's why I have no hair.
Yeah,
So,
I had to pull so many times for shoplifters. I might as well just start shaving.
Yeah,
and then
just shave it off. It's much easier than pulling on it. Yeah.
I know there was one. I remember a case Martino told me at a Shoppers. I think it was up at Cedar Croft or somewhere.
Yeah.
And he's very smart. I said a couple of days before these two guys came in and they were walking around, looking at the cameras.
Yeah.
They went to the back receiving door and one of them looked in, came back out, and they just left.
Yeah.
So he followed them, and they walked up the street to a corner, got in a car, and he took the plate down and everything.
Yeah.
They drove the car through the window that night.
Yeah. Yep.
He had it all. Not that, like 2 nights later.
Yeah. We had lots of those. You could go back in the video and see they were scouting the place 2 or 3 days ahead. So then we got license plates and stuff like that. And the police were very helpful because we had, still to this day, probably some of the best CCTV equipment in the stores.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't realize you walk into Shoppers, we have a full shot of you, your face.
That's right.
As you're coming and going. And then all through the store.
Yeah.
And so we've been involved in all kinds of stuff, even as high as murder investigations.
Yeah, I bet.
Police, contact my people and say, hey, do you have this video from such and such a Sunday, at this store and da-da-da-da-da. So, yeah, we were involved in a lot of investigations.
I remember one of the stores downtown, I had a guy and he had to go to the washroom.
Yeah.
I usually don't let them unless... But he was going to go right there. So I said, okay, go in the washroom. And I'm waiting. I thought, this is too long. Bang on the door. He doesn't answer.
Yeah.
So I called the police. They come. He OD'd.
Oh.
Wow. Ambulance came and everything. And so he was in there shooting up.
Yeah.
He lived, but I mean, he was out when they got there. So,
yeah. One of the other things I'm proud of what we did at Shoppers is I worked with one of our vendors. It was Checkpoint at the time. Where we used to tag all the products. For theft.
Yeah.
So we'd tag it for theft, and then we'd put an anti. What do you call it? I'm drawing a blank to the name of it now, but it's an anti-tampering, tamper-proof. Tag on it, right?
Yeah.
So that it says if this product is found anywhere than a Shoppers Drug Mart, please call this 1-800 number.
I remember that.
But there was 2 tags, and the operations people were just out of their minds. They were going, "You're adding labor costs to our work here. We're trying to cut labor
down
in the store." And so I really hammered Checkpoint, and I went down to their R&D place in Florida, and worked with their R&D people, and they were able to blend the 2 tags, the EAS tag and the tamper-proof tag. And it's still there in Shoppers to this day.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
I brought my daughter into the store a couple years ago, and I said, "Hey, you see that tag that's on there? Your daddy did that." It's still there, and it's a really effective program.
I remember I think the biggest item back in the day was the oil of Olays.
Yeah. We traced product all the way to China.
Yeah.
All the way to Russia. Yeah.
That's crazy.
It was crazy stuff.
Yeah.
It was definitely international organized
crime.
Yep.
Yeah. And let's see here. What do you think of this? Like we already mentioned a little of it, but this day and age, like we were saying, they come in the stores, they're filling up. I have guys calling me up saying, I just had the guy yesterday. He came back today. He said, you can't do nothing.
Yep.
And you're seeing these social medias of the liquor stores, and they're just
and that just spawns more problems when people say, "Oh, look, that's easy. Let's go to the liquor store and rip them off," or
no one's going to do anything.
Shoppers. Nobody's going to do anything anyway.
Yeah.
So that's unfortunately the environment that they've created now. But there's techniques and some other things, technology, those tags, and some other stuff that you can invoke, but definitely. Man, oh man, it's tough times out there right now, and these gangs they just know it's open season.
Do you ever think it'll go back to where we used to grab them?
I don't think so.
No,
I don't think so. I think those days
are over.
Too much liability.
And everybody's got cameras.
Now. Everybody's got knives on them. Everybody's carrying guns now.
Yeah,
it's just again, you start grabbing people and they've got a knife, you're going to end up getting stabbed. And it's just not worth it for some product. It's just not worth it.
And I remember even apprehending people, and then especially Eaton Center, people in the mall are yelling at me to let them go.
Yeah.
And here he is with a bag full of stuff, and I said, "Okay, let him go to your house. Walk over your TV."
Oh no, I had many altercations with people where I was trying to drag this guy back to the store.
In, they're yelling,
and they're going, "Hey, leave him alone, leave him alone." And I said, "I'm going to call the police." I said, "That's the smartest thing you've ever said. You go ahead and do that."
Would you go back to LP if you did your whole life over? Would you have started to say, "Yeah, I'd go back in the LP field"?
Oh, absolutely. I think there's still some unfinished business that I left there, but I was proud of the accomplishments that we had. But I'm also happy that I stayed in the security industry, but just in a different aspect. That's all. But I learned a lot, man. I got to see, the highs and the lows, and and like I said, it was a huge learning experience. And after 25 years, you have a lot of memories and a lot of stories that you can tell. And
exactly,
we keep joking we probably should write a book about some of this stuff. Yeah.
Now I don't know if you would know about these days, like getting the license and things. How it's all.
Well, again, that's gotten bureaucracy. So even me personally, I had my private investigator's license for years.
Yeah.
But every 2 years, I got to send a picture and I got to do all this
nonsense.
Your
passport,
and this and that. And it's like, so I think it was 2 years ago, I just stopped. I said, you know what? I've never used the PI license. I've never needed to. So I just stopped because it made it too bureaucratic. And I got frustrated with the whole process, and so I could just imagine what an entrepreneur's trying to do when he's opening up a little company, trying to get some investigators and some loss prevention people in there. It's got to be an absolute nightmare because it's just bureaucracy plus, right?
Yeah. And like I said, when I started, I remember going down to OPP's head office on Lakeshore, had my fingerprints done. Sat in the waiting room for 15 minutes. They came out and said, "Here," and I was a PI and security guard. With only the company, Calais, that trained me. I had and I was a PI. But then you were only allowed to use their license because their name was on it. Calais. And then over the years they changed that where it had no name. So.
But to Rui's point that he was making in your previous podcast, we really got to raise the industry standards as far as people and quality and the ongoing training that's required, and stop the revolving door. Now it's just a revolving door. The guy comes in, he was 18 or $20 an hour or whatever he gets paid, and then he's gone in 3 months, and you've invested all this time and effort.
That's right.
There's a better way, and I think as leaders in the industry, we can do a better job of making it more of career aspirations and raising the level.
That's right.
And stop with sending the $3 guard out there.
That's right.
Untrained. Right. Yeah.
And I've heard this. I don't know who's doing it. There's some companies that have been starting up over the years, but they're doing like the training for you to get your license, and they the testing.
Yeah.
But they're actually taking kickbacks and just
Oh, absolutely.
Oh yeah, he passed these.
I can name you some of the companies.
So, I could.
Yeah.
But 'cause some of them coming in, I'm thinking, how did this guy get licensed?
Yeah.
He can't hold a conversation with me, like. So
I know.
Yeah.
It's frustrating, and again, it goes back to raising professionalism and
That's right.
and the image out there. People have this concept, right, that all security guards do is sit on that chair and sleep, and he's got his Birkenstocks and the white socks on, and that's your guard. That's not what you want as the face of your company or your high-end condo that you're in, concierge service, that kind of stuff. It's got to be more professional than that. And I know some companies that do a really good job of it. And,
that's right.
But it's an uphill battle. It's a constant battle for sure.
Yeah.
But,
and like now with the ministry, you can't get anyone on the phone.
Yeah.
And
it's government services, right?
Exactly.
Everything's cut back.
Cut back.
Yeah.
You send your license in, and you think they send something back. Oh, you're missing this.
Yeah.
Or the photo wasn't right. Or
yeah. And I think that's just what adds to a lot of the bureaucracy, right?
Exactly.
Needs to be simplified, but more professionalized. And once they do that, you'll see a higher standard, and then it allows those entrepreneurs to charge more
money
for the service, because you're giving a professional guard, a professional person who's been well trained, knows what to do, knows that in situation A, here's what happens. In situation B, here's what I do. Right now, I'll tell you a story. We were at a meeting at the Westin near the airport, and I just noticed that there was all these guards, around. There was like 25 of them in the parking lot.
Wow.
So I went up to one of them. This is only a couple of weeks ago. I went up to them. I said, what's going on? Like, has there been lots of break-ins, the cars and all this stuff? The guy goes, I don't know. So you deploy 25 guards.
Yeah, and they don't know.
They're 724. So that bill must be huge. Right? And your guard doesn't know
What's
the purpose of why he's there is a sad.
That's bad.
It's really bad. And that's just another example of, I asked a very simple question. Is it because of break-ins? Did somebody get attacked? Was there a murder? Was there shootings? That type.
Yeah.
The guy had no clue and did not care. He was there to catch a paycheck, and he couldn't wait for his shift to be over, right? Yeah. And it was just a waste of money. Whoever, that hotel was paying
them,
they got ripped off. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of retailers, I'll go in and see them, and they'll say to me, I'm not happy with the company I'm with. And I'll start to, okay.
Yeah.
And then they'll say, what's your price? I give them a price.
Yeah.
No, the company I'm with is 50 cents cheaper.
Yeah.
But you just told me you don't like them.
Yeah.
That they're not doing it.
It's always, you can always chase the almighty dollar, right?
Yeah.
The lowest bidder wins. And that's not always the best choice. You've got to add up the pros and cons and apply for it. And it might cost you $2 more an hour or whatever, but you reduce the headaches in certain other areas if you know they're going to be doing a certain level of performance, right? And that's always a tough one, because I ran into the same thing in procurement at Shoppers.
Exactly.
So my job was only to write the specs. Now I didn't have to deal with suppliers and try to quote them and get contracts and all that stuff. So I'll never forget. A guy in the procurement wanted us to start buying these VCRs from Korea, and I'm like, no. And I said, have you tried these things? Have you seen what quality? Blah blah blah. And he goes, no, but it's just cheapest ones. They're cheaper than the ones we're currently buying. So I said, let's go out and see the company. Right?
Exactly.
Well, you went out to see the company. They were operating out of the basement of a house.
Wow.
Right. And which is fine enough for a startup company, but eventually you have to get to an office and a little bit more professional surroundings. And so I sat the guy down and I said, can you give me a snapshot, like print a shot out of what this thing is just recorded? And had no clue how to operate it, no clue. And then once he did figure it out, walking through the manual and all that stuff, you looked at the quality, and it was absolute garbage. You couldn't tell the guy's face. You couldn't tell if he was black, white, yellow, green. You couldn't tell anything. Like, it was just a useless piece of equipment, and that's what he wanted to start buying for Shoppers Drug Mart because it was the cheapest. And I put my foot down. I just said, I'm not signing off on this, and if you sign off on it, you own this. And he backed off, and so he started listening a little bit more, and and I never bought the state of the art stuff. I know it's not my money, but I was also very careful with my budget, right?
Exactly.
And so we had to go through those interesting battles, but jumping at the lowest price is not, and most times is not the best choice. Yeah.
And I guess you were involved with the budgets and everything for all the LP.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, yeah. Those were the years. Every time the part of the year you hated the most because that's when things got contentious, and
always the security gets cut first.
Always, non-revenue generating departments always got hammered, and
that's right.
That's where they cut costs immediately, and then any revenue generating departments get the slush fund. So
Now, were you involved when they went to, what was it, a claim? Where you can civil sue?
Yeah. I didn't, I can't remember if I was involved. Yes.
Or was that a different?
Yeah, Brian Laurie, And so we did some civil recovery stuff through them, and it was okay. It wasn't a great program, but it was okay.
Yeah.
But the concept of it was right, and to hold the shoplifters accountable for their actions, and I struggled with the going through that if the kid just stole a chocolate bar.
I was going to get to this.
So again, you have to bring in some variables in there within reason. If the guy's in there and he's stealing razor blades or the more expensive items, baby formula and all that stuff, narcotics, well, throw the book at him, right? But kid stealing a chocolate bar, you scare the hell out of them, send them home, and you get mom and dad, they'll deal with them.
I remember walking into a store and the associate or whoever would say to me, the parents were here, the kid you caught yesterday. And you're charging them whatever. I don't make the prices. I don't even know what it is. But the kid stole a $10 lipstick. And they got a thing saying they're paying $500.
No, that's where the program lost a little credibility, and they needed to have a little more flexibility with it. Yeah.
And then one day I was in court for a shoplifting case, and I just looked on the wall when I walked in, and there was pamphlets. So I lifted up. There was a lawyer that was fighting that. He wanted people to
pushing back on it.
So that's interesting. And these days and age, you don't have anything to say about like the break and enters, the car thefts, things like that.
Yeah, no, we had it on a different scale back in the day. So back around, I think it was around 92, 93, somewhere around there. We were having nightly break-ins between us and Pharma Plus, and a couple of the grocery stores were being hit, but not as bad as the drug stores. Yeah. And these guys, I think, hit us like 100, 150 stores a year. So almost every night they were, cutting the alarm wires, coming through the roof, or that type of thing. And they were good. And I'll tell you, remind me to tell you the follow-up story, what happened to it. But I had a task force where we had 5 police forces. I had Niagara, I had Metro, I had Hamilton. I had them all basically, GTA, and we're paying for, because they didn't have any budget. We're paying for their rental cars, cell phones, and I think there was meals or something included in that. And it was a big bill, but basically to try and catch these guys because the break-ins were just so horrendous. And we almost had them one night, and then the Paul Bernardo thing happened, and they all got pulled from this task force and moved over to that. And that was the timing on it, which is bad timing. We eventually did get them about 2 months later, and the guy, he calls me up, one of the guys, they went to jail and everything. There was even a movie made about it. I forget the movie, but what was their book? Oh, The Champagne Gang. That was a movie. Okay. The Champagne Gang. I'll look that up. So it's a bunch of guys. They're from Ottawa, but I think the northern part. So they were very French, and and they they got busted and they went to jail. And the guy came out about 5 years later. He calls me up and he says, he said his name. I'm not going to say it but he calls me up and he says, I'll come in and I'll show you how to, secure your stores. And I said, yeah, come on in and see me. Right? He never showed up.
Wow.
He never showed up. Yeah, but you can buy the book. It's called The Champagne
I'm gonna
Gang.
look into that. Yeah. But there's interesting things. I remember a floor walker called me one morning and he said he was at a Staples store.
Yeah.
He got there early and he said he noticed the store next to him. The window was broken, but the store was empty.
Yeah.
Right? And he goes, it just didn't look right. So I went over. By then, the managers and all of them were in there. Yeah. They went through that store because it wasn't alarmed. It was just a rental store that was for rent. Yeah. And they went through the wall into the stock room of the Staples store and stole their cameras. And they're very.
Oh yeah, these guys were proficient. They figured. I forget what the dollar. It'll tell you in the book and the movie what they was, but it was in the millions of dollars that they had stolen from Shoppers and Pharma Plus and that type of thing. And these guys all went to Vegas and blew it all with cocaine and hookers and you name it. They were doing it. And but from what I gather, they used to be alarm techs. That's how they knew.
So they knew.
They knew how to disarm the systems. That's why I found that out years later.
Years later?
Yeah. And that never came out. No, but I found out that was their background, and that's where they knew. So they were good at it. There's no question, and we couldn't catch them. And we almost had them that one night, and then, like I said, the Paul Bernardo thing happened.
Wow.
And, they all got pulled.
Any times where anybody that you remember got hurt in the stores, like employees?
Oh, yeah, many times, chasing shoplifters or, dealing with violent people within the stores, that type of thing. Because you got to understand, too, we carried a lot of cosmetics, but also narcotics.
Narcotics, yes.
And narcotics. And so we had a lot of stores that were on that. What's the program when you're on heroin?
Methadone.
Methadone, yeah. So methadone clinics. So I don't know if they still have them to this day.
They still do them.
But remember that blackout back in whatever year that was? 203, I think it was.
Yeah, the whole.
Anyway, I remember being, with Gary Hill and all those guys, and I just said, like, we got a blackout. Just pick 10 stores and just keep driving around and just make sure that they're not smashing the windows and stuff like that. But I was handing out methadone at 2:00 in the morning at our Dufferin and Lawrence store.
I was going to say that's the first store that started it.
Yeah,
we were doing the floor walk in
Dufferin and Lawrence store at 2:00 in the morning, and I worked
24 hours.
I worked 24 hours. I went home. I got about an hour's sleep. Then we had to race back, and our CEO at the time, Glenn Murphy, had a meeting in the war room, and here's what we're going to do, and we strategized, and as stores kept coming back online for power, we would deploy people and that type of thing. It was it was quite an experience, man.
I remember
you had to jump into action real quick.
I bet when that first started, I'd have guys calling me saying, what is this? I see there's guys coming in here getting a drink.
Yep.
They're stealing on the way out. When I arrest them, the owners are telling me, don't do it, leave them. Because I guess they were getting money, right?
Yep.
So, and it was crazy. So
no, it's funny that usually the methadone programs are pretty mild mannered. They haven't, they don't crap in their own backyard. Typically.
Yeah. No, exactly.
If the store's helping them,
yeah,
they recognize that the pharmacist is there to help them, and they usually don't. And another example of that is we had a store in Calgary, northeast Calgary, and there's a biker house that was right adjacent to the store. And I'll tell you, we never had one problem in there because the guys, they get their prescriptions there.
That's right.
And I said to the pharmacist, you have a problem, you come and see me. We'll take care of everything. We never had a problem at that store.
And you hear that a lot, like these, their biker houses are on these certain streets. That people, we never have crime here.
Oh, no, Jesus, no, you wouldn't.
And let's get into, it's not our thing, but like, the home invasions now.
Yes. Those are, we had our CEO at the time, Jürgen Schreiber. He'd only been with us a week or two, and I hadn't even set up his security yet and stuff at his home and stuff. Anyway, he had a brand new BMW M5. They smashed the glass, reached in, grabbed the keys, and the last thing he saw was he got a 407 bill as it was heading east. That's the last time he saw the car.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was a beautiful car. It had the special paint on it and stuff, and yeah. So ever since that, I fortified his house after that,
Nice,
and
yeah.
put gates up in the front and stuff like that. But yeah,
I did one in the Bridle Path this a few years ago where they stole the car. They stole the cheapest car in the driveway, drove it through the gate because they had the gate to get the Rolls Royce.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you don't drive a Rolls Royce or a Bentley through the gate. Yeah. Yeah.
Anything else you want to add to this, Dave?
Yeah. So just maybe a little bit about the mergers and acquisition stuff that
so
I do. So I basically get on the phone and talk to a lot of security companies, whether it be guarding companies, technology companies, and when I say technology, I mean like CCTV,
alarms,
access control, alarm response, that type of stuff. So I talk to those people a lot. Do you want to buy or sell your company? I have, people that I'm working with that are in a very high acquisition mode. And so we're busy. It's been a busy summer.
That's
so
good.
we got a few announcements coming in the fall.
Nice.
And you'll know who they are.
Okay. Now, how would someone get hold of you if they're interested in this?
Yeah. So my email is a good way. My phone number, LinkedIn. Yeah, it's probably the best. All my contact info is on LinkedIn. I'm always available, and my cell phone I answer all day long. So,
and if anyone wanted consulting, would you do that?
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I'm here to help. I've paid my dues. I do nothing but help companies now. That's all I do, and I've helped a lot of companies get ready for sale because they're not ready. They don't understand the process. And it is a long process, and it's very intense. And there's a couple of calculations that are done in order to get the valuation of the security company. People think, oh, well, I'm doing $10 million in sales, so the company's worth $10 million. No, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
It works on the first calculation they do is what they call an EBITDA calculation, and that's earnings before interest, tax, depreciation, and amortization. And basically, it's kind of almost like your net revenue. Yeah. And then you put a multiple on that based on what it is. If it's guarding, it's always somewhere around 3.5 to 5. I've seen as high as 5. If it's technology, it's in that 5 zone. And then if software, we sold a software company about 8-9 years ago. That was an incident management software. Yeah, we did a 10 times multiple on that one. It's a 10x on that one.
That's right. Yeah. Like you were saying, I guess there's a lot of companies that come in there saying, "Yeah, I want $5 million for my company." And
that's what happens, right?
You come straight out. Listen, it's not worth it.
I'm honest with people. I just say, if you can get $5 million, you go right ahead. But I can tell you, it's kind of like you all have the same house on the street. And let's just say they're all worth $1 million, and you put yours up for $3 million. You're identical to your neighbor's house, and blah blah. And you put yours up for $3 million. You're never going to sell that house. So that's when you see houses, that are on the market for 120 days. It's overpriced. It's very simple. It's not nothing more, harder than that. And so I take the same approach with the thing. You've got to do the valuation, have it done, and understand how valuations work. And I've been helpful to a lot of little companies that don't understand the process. And so I've left them alone. Hopefully they come back in the next couple of years when they've cleaned stuff up, and we go from there. But I'm enjoying it. Yeah,
some that probably came to you probably tried to sell it themselves, so they couldn't.
Oh, absolutely.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, I've had that. I've had that, and I've had some other sad ones where the guy went away. He wanted $3 million for his business. At the time we did the valuations, maybe 1.5 it was worth. And I said, you can get $3 million, you go ahead. And he never got the $3 million. No. And then about 4 years later, he got Alzheimer's. And the company basically went away. He got $0. His wife, I know his wife, and she never worked, and so that was her nest egg, and it's gone. Like, I would have been able to get him at least 1.5, but he ended up with 0. So
now, do you think they ask for more because they're in debt, or like
no? It's just, again,
do you
they don't
check into all that? Like
no, we do check everything.
Yeah.
Oh no, we know how much debt, and you have to.
You have to.
Yeah,
That's right.
and it's all going to come out in due diligence anyway.
Yeah.
So you might as well just be honest. And again, a lot of things a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with is they're embarrassed.
That's right.
They jammed, that picnic bench they bought.
Yeah.
They bought it for the cottage and all that. And they put it and they put it through the company.
That's
hey,
right.
As an entrepreneur, that's your right.
That's your right.
Yeah, you're dealing with Revenue Canada. If
I'm not. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not Revenue Canada, right? So so they're embarrassed that we see this stuff. Yeah. No, that's normal activity as an entrepreneur. We expect you to do stuff like that. But when valuations time comes around, all that has to be adjusted, right? And that's the process they don't understand. And so then you get the true market value of the company when all that stuff gets adjusted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Dave, thank you for being on the Lion Guard podcast.
No, pleasure, man.
It was great.
It was great talking about some of the old days.
The old days. That's it.
Oh, it was good. And a lot of good memories, a lot of good people. Proud of the work that we all did. And just got to keep going.
That's exactly it.
Yep.
Thank you.
Great. Cheers.
And happy birthday again.
Thanks.
Joe Rogan, watch out.